Hey everyone.
Good morning, everyone.
We're very excited because today we're gonna finally get to planting all of our spring garden, and we're gonna do it in a way that we've never done it before. In the past, we've always planted in containers out on our back deck, and then also out in the garden, some large circular containers that we can use as raised beds. But this year, we're not doing that. Do you wanna tell them why?
Well, so earlier I brought home some big bags that had a lot of worms in them and, joyfully watched the chickens, pick through, and they learned there's worms in those fabric pots. And so I brought home our peppers and all these things we'd been going for a while, and I came home to a big mess and a bunch of dead plants, unfortunately, in those containers. So we were thinking about how to, do we build a fence within our fenced-in yard? And then we said, we already have one fence. Well, maybe we should start thinking about things differently. And I looked at the fence and was talking to Manny, and we decided all the fence really is a trellis without any plants growing on it. So
Yeah,
it's
so-
just a fence without plants growing on it, right? And yeah.
Yeah, so rather than fencing the chickens out of our little garden, we're just gonna build our garden on this side of the fence, and we're gonna build a food fence. We're so excited. It's gonna be primarily sugar snap peas and tomatoes. We're also gonna sprinkle in some really cool annuals, flowers, and really the reason is we have these packets of seeds and we wanted to use them. But in addition, anytime that you're adding a diversity of plants in your garden, flowers, vegetables, you're increasing the diversity of potential pest control you can have by really making a robust ecosystem. So hopefully it'll help keep some of the things that we don't want in the garden out.
And additionally, over time, I may have collected a bit of an excessive seed collection, and they're starting to get older. And I think a lot of gardeners I've seen this with. And so we're gonna just get them out. There's no point in keeping them in bags forever. Some of them are like 7, 8 years old. So the germination rate's gonna be reduced. So anyways, we're just gonna confetti this area. But before we do that, the soil's decent here, but it is a little bit thinner. And the way we're gonna approach this is gonna be pretty cool. I think it's actually gonna be really easy. We're gonna get this done quickly. So if it works, I'm gonna be really excited. We'll see how it goes though. But the idea is first we're basically going to scalp with a weed whacker the edge of the fence where we're gonna plant. Then we're gonna put a layer of fertilizer. So this is like, you wanna know how to kill a lawn, right? You mow it really short or weed whack it all the way bare, and then over fertilize it, which is what we're gonna do.
Yeah.
But what that will do is create a really nutrient rich pocket, which we're then gonna put a few inches of fresh, what would be, a raised bed soil on top of it, and we'll plant seeds on that, and then put another thin layer of soil with some rice hulls on top, and hopefully we'll have some great germination and sprouting. The plants will have 3 inches of pretty gentle soil to work through until they hit a really nutrient rich area below. See how it goes. I hope for the best, and I think, funny enough, even though this is on the outside of our fence, with all the action here, you can see our dog Sonny's always sitting right on the other side. I don't think there's gonna be a lot of bunnies or deer coming to it. We might lose some, and that's another reason to have like some good diversity on the fence line. I think it reduces the probability of the entire crop being wiped out in one swoop. So
Yeah, I'm really excited to get to it. So first step is to weed whack, and then we'll do that fertilizer layer, and then soil, seeds, soil, rice hulls.
yeah, and it's gonna be fun. Oh, and for fertilizer, if this helps, I made a while ago. Basically, it's if you were going to replicate it, I'm going to be adding some lime, which dolomitic lime, which is like a 4-to-1 calcium magnesium ratio.
Yep.
And then and this soil is usually a little acidic, so liming this area has been good. And then I'm also going to add a concoction that's about a 4-4-4 fertilizer mix, so pretty even. Not really geared towards, vegetative or flowering growth, and it'll be a little deeper, so it'll provide what the plants need. I mean, sugar snap peas add nitrogen, which is awesome. The tomatoes will draw it right out, though.
One other thing about the dolomitic lime that I love that we added is not only for the pH of the soil, but because tomatoes really need it. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I went really heavy last year with our containers. We did a dozen 30-gallon tomato planted containers, and I wasn't sure if I was overdoing it, but I went really heavy, probably about a liter in each 30-gallon towards the bottom third of lime in each one, and they did great. We saw no blossom end rot. Calcium deficiencies show up pretty quickly, especially at the worst time, right? You'll see it with tomatoes when the fruit is like ripening and finishing up, is when you start getting all those cracks. And even when you see those cracks, you know at some point there was a consequence to the overall yields that you're not seeing. So.
Exactly. Yeah, and it looks like your plants are rotting, but it's actually, and they are, but it's actually caused by calcium deficiency, not by moisture or other issues. So we'll get ahead of that.
And I've heard also, just in general, lower calcium levels increase the risk of like pathogens, particularly like powdery mildew, which I need to dig in to see if there's some science around that, but I've anecdotally seen that to be true.
And then obviously the soil we're using is just going to be a really high quality raised bed soil, which will be gentle enough for the seeds until they moved out into that fertilizer compost layer. Compost being the scraps of the leaves and the grass and whatnot that we're about to weed whack. And then that top layer of rice hulls, I just wanted to talk really quick about why we do that. If you're not familiar with this input, rice hulls are super cool. They're a byproduct of the rice industry, so the hulls are cracked off of rice when they're making rice for food and other uses. So they're a waste product, so using them is really eco-friendly because you're keeping them out of landfills. 2, we use organic rice hulls, which who doesn't love that? But the third thing that's awesome about them is that they're absolutely incredible. Thank you, Brownie Batter. They're absolutely incredible as a top layer because they lock moisture into the layers below because they are hydrophobic, which means when you water them, they dry out quickly, but allow the soil level that's just below them to stay wet because they've got this protective rice hull layer on top, locking in that moisture so those little seeds don't dry out and those little roots don't dry out.
But the cool thing is, compared to other mulch layers, like if you use, wood chips or even straw, it can really compact and seeds can't pop through it. Rice hulls, once the seeds are under, they have no problem breaking through it. I'll cover grass seed even with it, which is pretty thin. The other awesome thing is when you go to water, I really like about rice hulls, is it dissipates. Can you just take a 2-minute break, Brian? Just for a moment. He's not that bad for a rooster normally. I don't know what's going on. But anyways, when you go to water with rice hulls, it's really nice because a lot of times, especially when we put that fresh soil down with the seedlings, you'll start spraying and you'll see some seeds are getting knocked out. It's getting compacted. With the rice hulls on top, it hits the rice hulls and it creates like a matrix where the water just evenly spreads and it prevents compaction and from the seeds being disturbed, which is nice. It makes basically watering a lot easier.
Yeah.
You can water quicker too because of it.
You're absolutely right. And then unlike a perlite, which can be used, you know what, I'm not gonna say that.
Yeah. No one should spread perlite on top of their yard. That's
100%.
If you're thinking about using perlite instead of rice hulls for this application,
no, we're just gonna delete this.
Your yard will look like there was a styrofoam explosion.
Yeah, that's true. Eventually the rice hulls will break down over time and actually provide silica to your soil as well as food for all the good microbes.
And honestly, I think it looks really pretty. And if you have anything that's like a ground crop or like greens that are growing right at the surface, a lot of times you'll have dirt splattered back up on the plants, when it rains or when you water it, or just bugs get into it. And man, the rice hulls keep those plants like strawberries or greens so clean, which is nice. So,
well, I think that's it. I think it's time to get to it. We need to weed whack, fertilize, soil, plant.
Yeah.
All right, guys. See you soon.
Yeah.
This is amazing. This is amazing. I would have not thought that I was supposed to do it like this.
Did it come out good?
It's absolutely incredible.
So this is how you do 2 things. Prep to put a bed down or get fired from a landscaping job as a weed whacker. Fortunately, I have a lot of experience because I used to be a landscaper for about 5 years, and because I was so good at weed whacking, all the guys in the mowers would tell me that you're so good at weed whacking, you can be the full-time weed whacker and we'll be on the ride-on mowers with our headphones. I was pretty lucky.
Matt, tell everyone how.
When there was poison ivy, then I got to mow those fields.
Tell everyone how long this took you and highlight the fact that you didn't have to dig or till or anything like that.
Yeah, it took, what, 5 minutes?
Yeah, 6 minutes, 5-6 minutes.
And, it's just scalping it low, and now it's great. It's kind of no-till, but it's pretty, destructive. But, it's nice because now there's going to be tons of dead root matter that will be decaying below, and the fertilizer on top to make sure it's not going to pop through. And also, when you turn stuff, it's ultimately you're leaving a lot of living plants, and it probably will kind of reshoot. I'd rather do it this way, nice soft, sponge-like layer that'll sop up the fertilizers that drips down.
Looks awesome. Great job.
Well,
Okay, so step one, weed whacking the area down to bare to kill any lawn or weeds that were here is complete. Step two is now to spread that fertilizer as well as the lime. So I'm going to start with the fertilizer. Here we go. Move my wheelbarrow closer. Work smarter, not harder. And just as a reminder, this fertilizer layer would be too hot for seedlings or young plants to be on directly, which is why we're going to cover it both. We'll add some lime to this, but we'll also cover it in a nice layer of soil that's meant for growing seedlings and seeds. And then as those plants grow, they'll come down into this layer as their roots are more robust, and it'll just be this amazing fertilizer layer waiting for them to just supercharge that growth. Sunny and Tally are helping me out. Part of the reason we're doing it on this side of the fence so that dogs and chickens don't trample everything that we're growing. Spread this nice layer out. Easy peasy. You guys, it does not get any easier than this. This food fence has taken no digging. We're not, digging up the soil and putting in tons of new soil. I mean, it's just amazing. This is as easy as it gets. All right, fertilizer layer done. We're gonna add a dolomitic lime layer on top. And don't worry if like little pieces of leaves or whatnot get in on this. They'll break down over time and actually provide food to the growing plants. All right, next we're gonna add about 100 pounds of dolomitic lime. Hey Tulip, you checking out the garden? Oh my gosh, this is looking awesome. All right, next we're gonna add in our bags of soil, which is formulated for raised beds and gardens. So it'll be perfect to plant our seeds and some of our younger plants directly into. One other ingredient that I forgot we had was our homemade worm castings made by using compost and red wiggler worms and a few European night crawlers. I'm actually gonna add this on top of the fertilizer dolomitic lime layer. And the reason is worm castings are absolutely incredible for your garden, and especially if you had a couple bags of them hanging around. So I'm gonna add it in. What it'll do is it'll provide really excellent moisture retention as well as improve the structure of the soil. Plus, worm castings are packed with beneficial microbes, which will help the plants become more robust and pest and disease resistant. And then lastly, worm castings are really great because they provide slow release nutrients to your growing plants over time. I mean, they're incredible. So I was just thinking to myself, how far off the fence line should I plant this garden? And of course, everybody has come over to see what I'm doing. And as you can see, the chickens are able to easily pop their heads right through the fence line, which is fine. So I know for sure I'm gonna plant all of my seeds and seedlings one chicken head away at least. Otherwise, I'll just be putting a little drive-up buffet set up for them, which I don't want to do. So we'll definitely plant a little bit away from the fence line so that the plants have a fighting chance from the curious chickens here. Okay, time to spread these worm castings, which may even have some worms still in them. And if that's the case, even better. One more bag. Definitely gonna plant one length of chicken head away from the fence line. Hey everyone. We made it. Time for 10 cubic feet of raised bed mix. Okay, last step before planting. We're gonna put down a nice layer, 10 cubic feet worth of really high quality organic raised bed mix. And these will give our seedlings and our young plants just an incredible start as they grow and make their way down to our worm casting, lime, and fertilizer layer. Let's get to it. Oh, look at this. This is some gorgeous soil. Now you don't want to pack this down. You're just breaking up the clumps. You want it to be light and fluffy so that your seeds, the young little roots, can move through the soil. Now I've been walking on the layer below this, which is fine because those young roots aren't going to be moving into that layer for a little bit longer. So it's okay if that gets packed down a little bit. But the top layer of soil, you don't want it to be hard for those little roots to move through and for the shoots to poke out. So I'm gonna do my best not to walk on this. I mean, look at how gorgeous that looks. The important thing is to not try and get it perfect, because in gardening, it's impossible to do anything perfectly. The important thing is just to do the best with the material and the tools that you have and go for it, be brave, and hopefully you'll have a beautiful garden. And if not, that's okay. You'll learn something along the way. The start of a food fence, protected from chickens and dogs. Oh, looks so cool already. Okay, everyone, we did it. Next step, planting.
Well, we decided a longer fence line, and we made our garden bigger and deeper, and let's add a few more layers of lasagna as well. So next what I'm gonna do is I brought a bunch more worm castings in that we've been brewing up for a while. And it's pretty cool because there's actually worms and whatnot in here. And I'm gonna dump another layer of this on here. And then I'm gonna build a trough, and we're gonna dump a nice even keeled raised bed mix in that, which we're then gonna plant seeds into. So it's nice and gentle, but that worm casting is not only gonna be seeping in the soil, breaking everything up that's below, like the fertilizers, it's gonna be making so much more soil available for those roots. The roots underneath all of this are gonna be just, the soil's gonna be loose and filled with organic matter. The humics in here, the worms, I mean, this is gonna go from what was some of the worst soil in our yard to some of the best soil in our yard. And I'm super stoked, and this is gonna be the real catalyst for it. So let's get going. And I'm gonna be pretty casual at this, you know, it's just, I'm gonna try to, you know, balance efficiency. So I'm just gonna kind of pick it up. This is my workout. This is a nice rainstorm on it. So I'm just gonna dump these out. Let's get the other guy. This one's a 75-gallon bag, so too old for this. Oh, I forgot there's also some other stuff in here. So it's a real, that's my mom. There's some Italian word for a big, yeah. Okay. Oh, look, rainbows. You never know what's going to get in your compost, right?
Oh, what is it? Oh.
Nice. Nice. Things there are and are not biodegradable. All right. One more. Put some old eggs in there. That's good. That's where the flavor is for the peppers, right?
You've got a little audience here.
Yeah. I love these little rakes, by the way. A nice 12-inch because you can move it easily and just kind of really it's moving quick. Ready?
I like using upside down sometimes too, like when you're not trying to mix it in.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, good leveling.
Check this. So this was in the compost. It's a big chunk of ginger, and it started sprouting through in the compost. We should position this somewhere. It'll be beautiful.
So what is it? This compost mix? It's worms with worm castings.
Yeah, and I forgot I had thrown some of the worm castings on top of some of just an old soil mix, and some old guinea pig litter, and a bunch of other stuff. Some chicken
Rice hulls.
It's just a bunch of good old healthy organic matter. Now, if you plant it directly in this, it might go great, but it also might burn the plants. And my hunch would be, it would be from spot to spot and plant to plant. So that's why we're gonna get everyone started off in a nice, balanced, broken down start.
All right, so is the plan to do the raised bed mix on top of this or trough of the raised bed mix where we're gonna put the seeds and the plantings?
We have a plan. So I'm doing this and I'm gonna take off to open the shop.
Yeah, that's true. Actually,
But I'm having fun. I like raking and playing the dirt. I actually don't know if it's gonna go well. I was looking it up.
All right, so we're thinking to have a trough down the middle where we'll put straight organic raised bed mix.
Yep.
And that trough will be where we plant our seeds as well as the seedlings that we've already sprouted that we're transplanting.
Yeah.
And the most important thing is that they're planted one chicken head length away from the fence.
One more sweep.
All right, are you making the trough?
I'm just
Yes.
doing continuous passes to make the trough.
Oh, I like this. Oh, I like this. Yeah. Well, I'm really glad I caught you before going to work.
Exercise pants on, the yoga pants that might be Mandy's. I don't know what they are, but you might think I care that little that I put these on. I realize how tight and awkward they look.
No, stop.
My mom gave me these pants. I'll admit it. Cool thing this trough is going to do is also hold water.
Good job, Matt. Tell us what's next.
Next,
Yep.
man, let's put some plants in and cover them with some good soil.
Raised bed mix in the hole and then position plants, right? And then push raised bed mix on top.
Yeah, and you could do something like, if you're doing seeds, you could do a line like this.
Yeah, do a line.
Just to kind of really give you that right.
I look at that nice little trough you've made. I don't know how easy it is to see. Yeah, you can kind of see there's like a little trough right down the middle. Good boy. You're a good dog.
How's that, Mama?
You look so good.
Excited to plant in that?
Look at how good that trough is.
Gorgeous, this is gonna look.
All right, so we're getting some nice rain, which is gonna be perfect for our seedlings and our seeds. So next step is to take everything that's already started and put it right up against the fence so that it can start vining. We're gonna do our peppers, our tomatoes, and actually we're gonna add in some cucumbers. Then we're gonna go ahead and put down our remaining raised bed mix so that that's all filled in the trough. And then we'll make our holes to plant our seeds for our sugar snap peas and I think a few more tomatoes. Let's get to it. I'm gonna put this first, let's see, sweet cherry tomato in. Always do the tank. I'll just go ahead and, whoop, gently dump it out. Oh, look at those nice roots. And I'm gonna dig a hole that's about as deep as this kind of root ball, right against the fence line here. Nice moist soil. Perfect day to do this. I think actually I'm gonna tuck her proactively into my fence if I can. Yes. Oh, yes. First one done. Food fence is underway. That's a sweet cherry tomato, one of my absolute favorites. All right, now just to do the rest. Next up, cucumbers. Gotta get the cucumbers in. So the next 3 sections of fence, we're gonna do snap peas, snow peas, and shell peas. And then you'll be able to just walk down the fence line and pick them off and eat them like candy. Let's do it. Oh, Princess is coming over. So again, I'm gonna keep these just inside. And I'm just gonna kind of do the sprinkle method. Actually, make sure they all land in the trench. What I love about peas is they're really easy to see, unlike smaller seed varieties that are very hard to see. This is the same type. And you can see why we're doing them in this trench. This brownie batter here is telling everyone there's food on the ground. Another sugar pea, dwarf variety. Purple snow pea. Oregon giant snow pea. And a Lexington Progress number 9 shell pea. Let's wrap up planting the peppers. Now I know that I have a million peppers here. I'm just gonna go for it. Now I know I have a million peppers here, but in classic gardener style, I just did too many seeds and then didn't thin out. Let them all keep going. So I'm just gonna plant them all and see what happens. All right. Very careful. These are nice and moist, which is great, but I don't want to accidentally pull any of those roots off. That, oh my gosh, maybe we'll do a little guy next and then a big guy. Now these ones in the 1 gallons are, you know, very deep root balls. So I'm kind of having to mound the soil up around them. And I'll take, when I add my last layer of raised bed mix, I'll kind of fill in these gaps. But I just want to make sure that any of the roots don't dry out that just got exposed. So I'm just kind of stealing some of this soil from other areas to create a nice mound wherever. I've got these taller 1 gallon pots. Okay, did it. Wow. Yes. Well, I had a few more tomato plants than I remembered. So I'm gonna stagger some kind of in this front row here and just give it a go, put them all in. Okay, now we're gonna cover everything up with our raised bed mix and then we'll add the rice hulls. All right, the entire food fence is planted. Now we just need to cover with our layer of raised bed mix and then a layer of rice hulls and we will be done. All right, I'm gonna go from the top down. Peppers. Sweet peppers and jalapenos, peas, shell peas, snow peas, sugar snap peas, Macklemore 76 cucumbers, and Amish paste and sweet cherry tomatoes. We did it! Okay, so now I'm gonna add just a raised bed mix, an organic raised bed mix. I have about 8 cubic feet that I'm gonna spread across the rest of the fence line just to make sure all the young roots are buried and of course that those pea seeds are buried as well. So let's get to it. Now I'm gonna need slightly deeper and more soil for this area because if you remember, a lot of these peppers were in 1 gallon pots, so they're sitting up higher above the soil, which is fine. I'll just fill in with the raised bed mix all around them. That should do it. Okay, I used 6 cubic feet of raised bed mix around the entire fence line. So I have 2 cubic feet left. And I think what I'm gonna do is fill in around these tomatoes. I went pretty light since I started with them and I wasn't sure I was gonna have enough soil. But now that I know that I do, and because I've clearly overplanted this area, it'll do them well to have some extra soil and I've got it, so I'm gonna use it. Always make sure none of your leaves are buried. Yes, we did it. Last step, and then this baby's done. We're gonna add about an inch layer of rice hulls to the top of the entire fence line. And they're just incredible. 1 bag that's about 50 pounds expands to 7 cubic feet. So you just get a ton, a big bang for your buck out of 1 big bag of these. And the best part about them, they're gonna help us water efficiently. They're gonna help to trap in moisture below so that my young roots and my upcoming seeds keep their moisture in and are more likely to germinate and keep growing and not dry out. They're also going to help to prevent weeds, airborne weeds, from landing in the soil and being able to penetrate down and become weeds. They'll land on this hydrophobic layer up top. It should prevent them from germinating because it'll be dry and void of nutrients. And they're light enough that my upcoming pea shoots will be able to push right through. So they're just fantastic. Over time, they'll break down and be good food for all the good bugs like microbes and whatnot, which help your plants to grow and increase their yield. So let's get to it. Very last step. Yes! I know this looks like seeds, but it is not. You can see just how light this material is. And this is actually the bedding that we use in the chicken house, both in their nest boxes and on the ground. Just a really awesome medium. Okay, a little bit more on these tomatoes. Okay, now just to clean it up a little bit and we are officially done. Starting to get a gentle rain, perfect timing. We are officially done. Peppers are here. Pea seeds are here. Did 3 rows of those, or 3 fence lengths of those. Cucumbers and tomatoes. Well, we'll have to check back in and let you know how this food fence goes. Thanks for sticking with us.